There goes Davis. Oh my God! Davis is going to run it all the way
Here
back.
comes pressure. Bortles sees it coming. Looking for Wharton in the end zone. Wharton behind the defense. Oh! Are you kidding?
It's a beautiful day on the hill in Lawrence, Kansas, and a beautiful day for spring football, presented by Cadillac. University of Kansas spring game on tap on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel. Hello, everybody. I'm Nate Bucati, along with former NFL wide receiver Danon Hughes. And Danon, this is a Kansas football team that took some baby steps last year, got their first conference win in the Charlie Weis era, but they're hoping to take some big steps going into next season. What do you need to see here in the spring game today to see if they can take those steps?
Well, you need to see, Nate, when you talk about Kansas, it has to be about improvement. I mean, you take those baby steps early, but you have to have a method to the madness. And Charlie Weis, when you speak to him and you hear him throughout this spring, he's talked about it's time now. You go through those first 2 years, you figure out your roster. He had 29 guys jettisoned, I should say, from this program, and they had to replace those. So you have some holes that you had filled. You have some good competition, but now it's about producing a winning program, and that seems like that's the mantra around this program.
Now, we'll be watching the quarterback battle here today, especially between Jake Heaps and Montel Cozart. But as a former NFL wide receiver, I want to ask you about that position because the Jayhawks haven't gotten much production at all the last couple of years. They've brought in a couple of new faces. What would you like to see from that unit today?
Well, what I'd first like to see is leadership. I want to see that quarterback that demands the respect in the huddle. I don't know if you're going to see a whole bunch of that when you're playing against your buddies on the other side, but there still can be remnants of that. And when you have Montel Cozart, a very good athlete, I remember watching him as a young kid, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old in the Kansas City area. He's a guy that wants to show that he has earned enough or done enough to earn that job. Conversely, Jake Heaps, he's a guy that has been the starter for this program. He wants to show that he has improved. You've never arrived when you're a football player, but you have to show constant improvement and leadership. That's what I want to see. And it doesn't hurt that you can throw the ball downfield and be able to put some points on the board.
No red jerseys on the quarterbacks today. That means they're fair game. That should be an interesting twist. The spring game from Memorial Stadium in Lawrence comes up next. Today's Kansas spring game is presented by Cadillac, proud partner of Kansas football. Just about set for the start of the spring game. Nate Bucati along with Danon Hughes, and let's bring in the third member of our broadcast team, Mick Schaefer on the sidelines. Mick?
Nate, thanks very much. How you guys doing up there? It's a spring game, so football rules don't always apply. Always some unique twists and turns. This one no different. At halftime, okay, of this game, the score will reverse. So who's ever winning will now be losing by that same score. And before you say, hey, that's not fair, know that on the blue side, there are 45 combined letters of players. On the white side, mostly underclassmen, just 21. The catch here, guys, and it's obvious, I guess, if you think about it, neither team knows this rule yet, unless they're watching the broadcast. They'll find out at halftime.
All right, thanks, Mick. It will be an interesting little twist there, as Charlie Weis says. He plans on the blue team being ahead, but then he wants them to play from behind in the second half. And Danon, the white team starting with the football here, Michael Cummings, who is probably the third-string quarterback right now, getting to start with Taylor Cox in the backfield against the first-string defense.
Well, Michael Cummings, he got a little bit of a dose of playing time last season in 2013. Only had three passes for 44 yards and 1 touchdown. So he's accustomed to being on that stage, wants to see if he can move this offense down the field against a veteran-laden defense. So, you know, they're trying to get the running game going early. Taylor Cox gets the ball the first 2 times, and now Cummings is going to tuck it and run. So trying to move the ball, and this shows a lot when you're the quarterback against your #1 defense. If you can move the ball against them, it definitely shines bright for your spring.
That time, the handoff was met furiously by Ben Heaney, the second-team All-Big 12 linebacker. He is the leader of this defense. He averaged 8.7 tackles per game last year. He's a heat-seeking missile.
He is, and he's a playmaker. Also had 3 interceptions, 2 sacks. Definitely one of the leaders of this defense.
Eric Fink is in the backfield now for the white team, and Mike Cummings going to tuck it and run this time. Remember, once again, no red jerseys for the quarterbacks. They are fair game, so you can tackle them all the way to the ground, as Mike Cummings found out right there. What do you think of that rule, that little twist in the spring game? We don't see that very often, do we?
It's a little bit of a roll of the dice. You talk about players and player safety specifically for quarterbacks. You hate to have a guy, especially if they've competed at a high level throughout the spring, done everything they could in winter workouts, and they come out and possibly get injured in the spring game. But in order to recognize what you have to have them in full speed.
And you've got an interception now thrown by Michael Cummings, picked off by Isaiah Johnson. That was a specialty for him last year. He was second in the Big 12 with 5 interceptions, and this was an easy one for him.
Very easy, but at the same time, you see the balance, athleticism on the sideline, able to get 1 foot down, actually got both feet down for the interception. An errant throw by Cummings there, trying to get some coaching points on the sideline. You hate to see that this early in this scrimmage.
Talking with quarterbacks coach Ron Paulus there, who is on the white team coaching staff. And so out of the turnover, we'll see the first team offense, and Jake Heaps will get the first crack. We're talking about that quarterback battle between Heaps and Cozart, and we will get to see Jake Heaps first. And we'll get to see a new offense, Danon, for the Jayhawks, as well as John Reagan, the former offensive line coach for KU back in their Orange Bowl days under Mark Mangino. He has returned now from Rice. He'll be the offensive line coach and the offensive coordinator, and he's putting in the spread offense after the Jayhawks have run the pro style the last couple of years.
Well, last year, 2013, they kind of dabbled in multiple different offenses, and now they feel extremely comfortable with John Reagan and what he's bringing to the table. Offensively, like you said, they're going to be in the spread formation. They're going to marry themselves to that, hopefully to get some consistency offensively and to score more points than they did in 2013.
Looked like Heaps and Rodriguez-Coleman were not quite on the same page on that first route. Rodriguez-Coleman, a junior college transfer who will actually be a junior going into next year, a player they're hoping big things from, but looks like their signals got crossed on that first play. An underneath handoff goes to Nick Harwell, another newcomer who was expected to do big things for this offense, but he had nowhere to go on that trick play.
And it looked like there was a little bit of miscommunication there as well. You see the quarterback, Heaps, and Harwell bump into each other right there. It looks like he's supposed to go underneath him. Could have been a costly turnover or even a safety. They backed themselves up snugly against that goal line, but 2 plays and a little bit of miscommunication on both.
Interesting to see Marcus Jenkins Moore in there. This was a junior college transfer that was expected to do big things for the defense last year, but suffered a devastating knee injury in the fall. Now here's Brandon Bourbon on a handoff up the middle, and he almost gets to the first down marker, but can't quite move the chains, as it'll be now 4th down and short for the Jayhawks.
Nice job by Bourbon here. He's a one-cut guy. He's going to be your straight-ahead guy. Seems like these running backs complement each other very well. You have a scat back. You also have a one-cut, straight-line guy in Brandon Bourbon. And as you said, Nate, just comes up a little short on that first down, but a nice job going north and south.
So there will be punts here in the spring game, but no punt returns. So Andrew Terzilli is back to receive this punt from Eric Kahn.
Deep is number 11, Trey Parmalee.
Trevor Pardula is expected to be the punter again next year, but he will not be in action today. This punt actually bounces all the way inside the 25-yard line, where it's picked up there. And of course, as soon as somebody touches the ball on a punt, the ball is dead, and that's where the white team will resume. So not much going for the Jayhawk blue team on offense the first time.
Not at all, but you ended on a positive note with that run by Bourbon, and a little bit of a twist like Mick talked about with the rules. Not do you normally see your punt returner go back and try to corral or get the ball when it's bouncing inside the 25-yard line, but based on the rules of this spring game, as soon as the ball is touched, it's down there. So it behooves the punt returner to go and get the ball wherever it is on the field so that they have better field position.
Now in at quarterback for the white team is TJ Millward, and he completes his first pass of the spring game. It goes to Trent Smiley. Millward is a 6'3", 230-pound transfer from UCLA. He sat out last year as a transfer, and he completes his first pass.
And that's a nice job after contact. The yards after contact are key, and when you're talking about tight ends or big wide receivers, that's exactly what they're in there for.
Taylor Cox receives the handoff, fighting his way for a couple of yards, and he gets the first down.
Taylor Cox got a couple of runs in that first series coming off of 2013, had 6 rushes for 44 yards. Sparingly a part of this offense, but a scat back, and they believe that can make some big plays, and we've seen he's very elusive a couple of times with this #1 defense. He's gotten hit at or behind the line of scrimmage and made something out of nothing.
This time a fumble by Taylor Cox. We'll see who fell on it. It looks like the white team recovered it. Trey Parmalee, coach's son, falls on top of the ball. I know you know his dad pretty well.
Yes, Bernie Parmalee, actually, both he and I are from New Jersey, so I had known him. We're actually from the same conference. He's a little bit older than me. Didn't get a chance to play against him in high school, but he was a pain in my neck in the NFL on special teams, as he was a great one himself.
Now Fink taking the handoff right up the middle. He goes, and another first down for the white team. This is supposed to be a one-sided affair in favor of the blue team, but not so far. The only first downs have come for the backups on the white squad.
Well, excellent job up front. You see the seal block by Joe Gibson, the backup center, 6'3", 295-pound freshman. Really has opened up a lot of eyes since he's came to this program, doing a nice job in the interior in these first 2 drives. Brian Peters, Zach Fondal, Sean Connolly, and Brian Beckman, the right tackle. This offensive line so far really handling themselves well.
Fink, who was more of a tight end last year, listed as a tight end fullback this year. This time pass batted down by Michael Reynolds, the Buck linebacker for the blue team. I want to mention once again TJ Millward, who is orchestrating this drive for the white team. We all thought his name was Mill Weird when he was transferred. That's what we were told, but then some people actually decided to ask him how he pronounced his last name this year. It is Millward. That's how he says his name, and he's hoping to maybe work his way up the chart as well.
Well, here's the thing, Nate. If his name was pronounced Mill Weird, he correctly changed it, because you don't want him to go through college being called Mill Weird, especially at that quarterback position.
Almost an interception that time by Dexter McDonald. He stepped in front of the pass by Millward that time, but couldn't hold on to it.
Dexter McDonald, 2 interceptions in 2013. This is just a cover 2. Well, Millward does not read that corner. He breaks in on the tight end. Not much stretch down the sideline. Not much to go, and this is where he has to get better as a quarterback if you're Millward. Don't direct yourself to one side of the field and commit yourself there. Look at the defense, read the defense, and take what they give you.
So now Kahn on to punt for the white team. Running clocks in the first quarter unless there is a timeout call.
False start. Offense, number 60. 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
So they go running clocks in both halves until you get down to the final 2 minutes of each half. Then the normal clock rules will apply here in the spring game. Isaiah Johnson back to receive this punt. He won't return it. And the fair catch is made at the 15-yard line. Let's go down to Mick Schaefer. Mick.
Guys, thanks very much. Joined now by Robert Miller, former running back here at the University of Kansas, member of that 1973 Liberty Bowl team. Seemed like just yesterday, all the days back here in Lawrence?
I tell you, being here in Lawrence is just fabulous. And my wife and I, we drove in a couple of days ago, and we're going to need another 5 days to kind of catch up with all the memories, the teammates, the guys that we've run into, and with Candace Nunback, just with the new folks that are here and the great job that they're doing.
A lot of alumni back. We'll be talking with a number of them throughout this broadcast. You played 6 years with the Minnesota Vikings in a Super Bowl. You're a motivational speaker now. What kind of pearls of wisdom, I guess, do you pass from your days in college and the NFL onto ears these days?
Well, one of the great things that I've learned over the years is if you have a great foundation, a solid foundation, you can build a lot. And one of the things that was established here at KU was a solid foundation to go and do a lot of different things. And that's one of the things that I enjoy about coming back, is realizing that this is where it all began for me and my wife and our family. And it was just great. It's just great.
Now you're telling me you guys had spring games back in the day, but they probably weren't an event like this, right? There wasn't a big board and everything going on, wasn't broadcast. What were they like?
It was opposite of this. It was the coaching staff just yelling and screaming at you on the field. The temperature was 130 degrees on the turf. And
it was a different sort of turf back then.
Yeah, and you didn't have water like you see Gatorade on the sidelines here. So it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, hydration probably wasn't as encouraged as it is now. All right, so what do you be doing here in the days here? You mentioned a number of teammates are back as well, and you said you keep up with KU football still religiously.
No, it's one of the things. There's a lot of guys, blood, sweat, and tears out on this field. And if I could say anything, it's time for these guys to come back and be a part of this incredible tradition here. They established some things. I know the 73 Liberty Bowl team did establish some incredible things, and we want to, get as many guys back here as we can because they deserve to see what it's become, and what they started way back then. Before a lot of you guys were even thought about and stuff. So, but that's kind of the goal, and I do a lot of speaking, but the biggest thing I want to share is the love that you have for this university. It's just incredible. We love it.
You mentioned traditions. You were the first ever recipient, I believe, of the Gale Sayers Scholarship, right? How big of an honor was that for you?
I tell my family all the time that what a privilege and an honor, because at that time, I just lost my father, and to be able to know that I was going to complete one of the goals of not only their desires as far as their sons, but one of mine was to go to college, get an education, and get a degree, and to, by the way, play football, if that was a possibility. But I was honored to receive his reward. I'm very grateful for the rest of my life for what he did.
You represented it well. Robert, great meeting you. Appreciate it. I'll let you get back to reflecting with old teammates and everything.
Thank you.
Robert Miller, former Jayhawk, former Minnesota Viking.
All right, thanks, Mick. And we've seen Montel Cozart on now to orchestrate this second drive for the blue team. And we've seen a couple of other Kansas City metro area kids in on this drive as well. We saw Darian Miller with a couple of handoffs. We saw a nice connection on a first down pass from a Bishop Miege quarterback in Montel Cozart to Bishop Miege wide receiver Justin McCabe. But boy, I'll tell you what, right there, Nick Harwell just paid the price.
Yes, he did. Welcome
Greg
to the
Allen
program.
delivering the wood right there.
Nice job by the nickelback Greg Allen. He's a sophomore. He's done a nice job in this program. Really has earned a lot of respect throughout this spring. He's going to bounce over to the other side, to the blue side in the second half. So far, so good for Montel.
Cozart trying to get to the first down marker, and it looks like he got the first down by about a yard.
And this is what they want to see more of from Montel, is not force him to be a running quarterback, but to see these type of windows and allow his athleticism to take over, and that's going to be key. They had a little bit of a blip early in this drive with Nala coming off sides. They created 3rd and long, got out of it. Now they're in a situation with 1st and 10 because of Montel. Good blocking up front. Keon Houghton won the job so far at the center position. Damon Martin at right guard did a nice job as well.
This time his pass intended for Tony Pearson was out of bounds. Tony Pearson is actually the one person wearing a red jersey today, coming back from the concussions that he suffered last year. So there is one player with a red jersey on. He's just not a quarterback.
And it seemed like when you heard Charlie Weiss talk this week, he was very excited about this spring game, probably more excited than you see most college head coaches, and part of it is because he had the live practice in mind, live scrimmage in mind, with his quarterbacks being hit, and the only player on the field with Pearson being wearing that red jersey. So this is kind of more of a game atmosphere than most spring games around the country.
Blue team has to call for a timeout this time as they were slow getting the play in. Let's talk about Montel Cozart a little bit and what you see from him so far. You mentioned you watched him a lot growing up as an athlete. Is this new spread offense more conducive to his skill set than maybe what the Jayhawks were trying around with last year?
Absolutely, and part of the reason is when you talk about a spread offense, for those of the people that do not know what the spread offense is, you hear West Coast offense, you hear pro-style offenses. Spread offense is exactly what it sounds like. It spreads out the defense. It spreads out the offense. Even the offensive linemen don't have the normal splits. So when you have that much space and you have a quarterback like Montel Cozart, who's an athlete, number one, he's able to make plays because of that space, just like he did when he tucked the ball and ran for the first down. So to me, a guy like he, an athlete like he is, a young guy, he still has to mature in the game, but to get him, John Reagan, to get him an offense that he can absorb and not have to worry about change is going to be key for his development. But you're going to see a lot of big plays made by number 2 when he has his opportunity on the field because of that spread.
This time in the pistol, he hands it off to Brandon Bourbon, trying to get to the outside. He breaks one tackle and picks up about 8 yards.
Well, they need to fill some big shoes. James Sims was the go-to guy last year, had 7 touchdowns. And you see Bourbon right here. Does a nice job again after contact, extra yards. Good job getting to the edge and getting those shoulders downhill, creating 3rd and short.
Cozart in the pistol with Bourbon behind him once again.
That's the end of the first quarter.
And that's the end of the first quarter. No score in the spring game, presented by Cadillac here at the University of Kansas. On the hill in Lawrence, Kansas, the spring game presented by Cadillac goes into the second quarter. 0-0 the score so far. Let's take a look at the rules from this game. As the blue team starts at their own 25, while the white team will start at the 50-yard line, except for in punts. Now, there are no punt returns, so wherever the ball is downed after a punt, that's where the drive will begin. And running clock, except for the last 2 minutes, which we'll see here in the second quarter, and then in the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter, they'll use actual game situations for the clock there.
Yeah, I think you get a mixture. When you have a spring game, it's very tough to make the rules, but you have to have a mixture of game situations as well as inter-squad scrimmage situations. I thought Charlie Weiss did an outstanding job blending it, and the little twist about the second half will accomplish them being able to keep it competitive throughout this entire game. So on multiple levels, Nate, I think this is a nice job by KU, the staff, creating an atmosphere that will help them in the fall.
Montel Cozart, this is his first drive of the spring game, and he turns and gives to Brandon Bourbon, who carries across the 50-yard line for another first down.
Quick little window opened up the middle. Mike Smithberg, Damon Martin. Good job up front, but good pursuit defensively as well.
This drive started on the 16-yard line, and the Jayhawks have worked it away across midfield. Cozart running the option this time, and not many options there.
Not much at all. You can see just corralled by the white defense. Right there, that little extra hesitation. As a defense, when you're going against an option quarterback, the number one rule, the number one thing you want to accomplish is to move him east and west. Have the quarterback or the ball carrier going sideline to sideline and not being able to get his shoulders turned downhill. That's a nice job of stretching out that offense.
Now Darian Miller in the backfield with Cozart, the junior out of Blue Springs, Missouri. Cozart trying to keep it this time, but once again, nowhere to go. That's how Tyler Holmes got into the backfield.
Again, good pressure up front. This is just a designed quarterback draw for Cozart, and that's an excellent job by the Buck linebacker, Kellen Ash. 6'3", 240-pound freshman. Hoping to get some good production from him. In that prior play was number 53, Colton Giz. Goes, I'm sorry, that was able to make that play.
So now 3rd and long for Cozart. He airs it out looking for Harwell, and he had him open, but overthrew his intended receiver.
You see Cozart has a quick release. That's a nice route, just a corner route by the wide receiver, and big window, just got to make that connection.
Harwell, the transfer from Miami of Ohio, 2 years ago had 1,425 yards receiving and 9 touchdowns. And last year, 2 years ago, 870 yards. Sat out last year as a transfer, but the word is he's been really turning heads in spring ball. And he got himself open that time, but Cozart couldn't make the connection. The white team will take over at about the 31-yard line. Let's go back down to Mick Schaefer.
Guys, thanks very much. Mike Rivera, former linebacker here at the University of Kansas. He is licking his chops because the quarterbacks aren't wearing red. Are you kidding me?
Man, I wish we had the live quarterbacks back in the day. You know,
never did, huh?
You got to practice. You know, you practice all the time. You never get to hit them. I mean, now they get a chance to, you know, show what they've been working for the last few weeks.
What is it about a quarterback that just turns them into a piece of meat for you linebackers?
It's just when you get a sack in a game, it's like one of the biggest plays.
That's the penultimate moment right there, right?
It's the best. And man, I only had a few sacks in my whole career, you know, so every time you get one, you cherish it.
You should have blitzed more. Did you tell your coaches that?
Yeah, just blitz me every time.
Every single time.
Yeah.
All right, give us an update on your career. Last we saw, your property of the New England Patriots. You're going to try to make a camp again?
Yeah, we'll see. You know, last year went through preseason, got released, didn't really get any opportunities, had a few workouts, so we'll see what happens this next year. Still keeping my options open, starting to move on to other endeavors, but you know, still a free agent, so we'll see what happens.
Talk about those other endeavors, because you're a local kid, went to Shawnee Mission Northwest. You get back here quite a bit, make your home in Kansas City in the offseason. What are you doing there?
You know, I want to be back in Kansas. You know, I'll be here. Want to start some endeavors in real estate world, real estate license, kind of moving on to some different opportunities there. Just starting to bridge the gap between all the people I've talked to through the years and trying to make some opportunities out of it. Also, been running a sports performance program up at Blue Valley Fitness and Overland Park, and you know, just getting the sports program going. The way I want to give back is to young guys in the community, mentor them through sports. I mean, that's how I got where I am today, and that's how I want to give back.
That's kind of my next question. You're a guy that went to Shawnee Mission Northwest, worked your way in the starting lineup here at Kansas, made the NFL. What kind of message do you have for young kids out there?
You know, the biggest thing that I found, a lot of these young guys, they want to wear the jersey, they want to go out and be on the field, they want to have their helmets, all these things, but they don't want to put in the work to do it. So the biggest message I have is you got to put in the time and effort off the field. I mean, hours and hours and hours of work and learning how to work hard, and then that'll transition onto the field, and that's how you become successful. And that's like really the biggest message. A lot of these young guys are, you know, that's pretty much what we go through every day. You know, we work hard, come in, you know, work speed, agility, strength, all that type of thing. But at the end of the day, it's a mentality, coming in day in, out, working hard, and that's pretty much all it is.
So many of you guys that were on the 07 team were back this weekend. Akeem Talib, Anthony Collins. We'll talk to Chris Harris a little bit later on. How big are the tails getting? You guys sit back and trade old war stories? That one of the greatest seasons in KU football history? You know,
I'm just thankful that we still have guys from our years in the league. I mean, I want those guys to play for 10, 15, beyond years. It's just great. You know, keep going to Denver and Chris there, and you know, Steve Johnson and those guys. And it's just amazing. KU football is still in the NFL, and we want to keep going. And hopefully, you know, we'll get some guys out of these next few classes here that'll make big splashes in the NFL and just keep us alive. You know, that's what it's all about. And, you know, basically, had a great turnout last night. We had a barbecue. A lot of guys back in town, up on the hill, and we had guys that had never been back. You know, we had them all back together in one place, and it was a great time.
Chris just signed a big deal with Denver. Akeem making the move as well. Who picks up the dinner tab now? Who's the guy that's the fattest wallet these days?
You know, that's a little, you got to see. You know, Chris Harris, that's kind of, you know, Akeem's little protege. You know, now Chris is, you know, he's established his name. So I think they got to go back and forth on it. You know, you just got to flip a coin, or credit card roulette is what we call it. So. Yeah.
Mike, thanks very much. Get a jersey on out there. You know,
they might need some help in the kicking game. I could probably help them with that. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, thanks.
All right, Mike Rivera, former Jayhawk, former Shawnee Mission Northwest Coug as well. We appreciate the time.
All right, Mike Cummings orchestrating a drive here for the white team, has them all the way inside the 40-yard line of the blue team right now. As Mike Rivera was talking about wishing that they had the red jerseys off the quarterbacks. I don't think they were going to do that with Todd Reesing at quarterback at that time, were they?
No, I don't think so. I think in that situation you knew who your quarterback was, but it's amazing to me, Nate, how many defensive players, even though these guys hang out, they dorm together, they room together, they eat together, they're best of friends, they recognize that the quarterback is such an important position, but if they ever had a chance to hit their guy, they would take it every time. As defensive guys, there's something special.
They, yeah, I guess instincts, don't go away easily, right?
And it's just something about the fact that there's somebody that you can't hit. There's someone on the field that lines up with you, that works out with you, that you're not able to hit, and it just makes you salivate even more when you have an opportunity like they do today.
What about the job that Michael Cummings and this white team offense is doing right now, though?
Really nice job. They connected earlier during the drive while we had the interview going on a nice slant route to move the chains, and then Michael Cummings actually tucked the ball and ran for a few yards also, keeping this drive going against the #1 D.
And that slant route you were talking about was to Trey Parmalee. This time, Andrew Terzilli is able to spin around the tackle of Isaiah Johnson and stretch out for the first down.
It's a nice job. Just a smoke route on the outside, a little short hitch. We used to call smoke a 1-2 yard hitch. Try to make the move to get extra yards after contact. Accomplishes that. Nice job by Terzilli. He's a senior coming off a season with 7 catches, 167 yards. Need to get some more production from him. Also, just the entire wide receiving core. We talked a little bit about it in the open. The wide receivers have to step their game up.
Taylor Cox receives the pitch. Can't quite turn the corner. Forced out of bounds by Jake Love after a gain of maybe 1 yard.
Good pursuit again. Moving the running back and ball carrier going east and west. Jake Love at that weak linebacker position. He and Skylar Miles have opened up some eyes.
Keon Stowers, defensive lineman, the nose tackle for the blue team, is on the ground grabbing at his left calf. So a timeout called by the blue team right now.
Nothing too serious when you see your player laying down. You definitely don't want to see him, Keon Stowers, on the turf too long. He's able to get up. Just a cramp in that calf happens all too often. That quick cramp, that's when you look at the nose tackle right there. Nice job. Tries to swim past and moves sideline to sideline and just kind of tumbles upon a little bit of contact there, but you knew after that first step it looked like he was hobbled just a bit. Good to see him walking off, but that's totally a cramp there. A big cramp for a 6'3", 297-pound nose tackle.
He was a team captain last year, a guy that really engaging when you talk to him, has a great attitude, came from a pretty rough situation as a child growing up. Played with Jadeveon Clowney in high school. Has some pretty funny stories to tell about Jadeveon, by the way.
Could you imagine playing? I mean, I remember what I looked like in high school, but to play against a defense, never mind playing against Keon Stowers, but to play against he and Jadeveon Clowney on the same defense. Might have to call him sick that day.
Right, after seeing the 40 time that Clowney ran at the combine, the odds are he probably ran a faster 40 time than even the wide receivers on your team if you were back in high school, so that wouldn't have been a fair fight.
Yeah, I got a chance to watch some. It's interesting if you go on YouTube or you go on the internet, you watch some of the current NFL players and some of the video they have from when their high school days. Very interesting to see how dominant those guys are, but more so how slim they were and how athletic they were. So guys like Keon and Jadeveon, I'm sure they were much slimmer than they are now, but still had the same effect on the football field.
Well, right now the white team is threatening to be the first team to score. Remember, one of the rule wrinkles here is that Charlie Weis is planning to flip the score at halftime. That's because he expected the blue team to be up considerably. Right now there's no score, but Trey Parmalee firing for the end zone on a trick play. He's got a receiver and he's got a touchdown. Andrew Terzilli. Excellent job.
Execution. We saw the blue team try to run a reverse early and got thwarted at the goal line. Here you see Parmalee under pressure, throws a strike down the field. Nice job of shielding by Terzilli. You see, watch as he releases the ball here, and the wide receiver turns that inside shoulder to shield the defender away from the ball. That's excellent technique for the wide receiver in the first score of the game.
And I'll tell you what, that was a strike from Trey Parmalee. He was under pressure from Ben Heaney, and there was coverage from Dexter McDonald on the play as well, but he throws it right over the defender. 27 yards for the touchdown, and the extra point means that we have a bit of a surprise on our hands here. The white team is up 7-0 in the second quarter.
Well, I wonder if Charlie Weiss, and we talked about it before the game, will they do that and make the change and switch offense, or I should say the white team and blue team scores if the white team is ahead? And if the blue team doesn't get things going, we have Jake Heaps coming back in the game. If they don't get things going, we're going to have a little bit of a, what is it, a conundrum?
Yeah.
After halftime.
And Charlie Weiss said that the point of switching the score was to make the blue team play from behind in the second half. You might not have to switch the scores in order to accomplish that. Now, the players don't know about that rule, so I guess if they don't know about it, he doesn't have to institute it if he doesn't want to.
And a quick timeout is called by the white team as Pearson at the bottom of the screen, the wide receiver, was uncovered. Defense did not have enough players on the field. He and Jake Heaps, he could not get Jake Heaps' attention to get a ball thrown out there. Otherwise, that would have been an easy big gain for the blue squad. Those are the type of things when we talked about Heaps and Montel Cozart before the game. Those are the type of things you want to recognize with your quarterback. Opportunities that they see within the defense. Not, you know, nowadays we see coaches, it's almost like a video game, how we grew up with video games, where every coach on the sideline is trying to manipulate the entire game. Well, those type of plays right there have to be made by your quarterback.
Tell you what, Tony Pearson is the last guy you want to leave uncovered on the Kansas offense, the most explosive athlete that the Jayhawks have. Hand off up the middle this time for Brandon Bourbon, and picks up about 7 yards.
Hadn't really talked about the offensive line very much, but Keon Houghton has won that center position, and Nalu, I'm going to try it. I said I was going to try it at least once. Fusi Malohi.
You nailed it.
I nailed it. I'm just going to call him Nalu from now on the rest of this game, but they've done a nice job. Pat Lewandowski at that left tackle, a senior, 6'5.5", 290-pounder. Anchors that offensive line, so expecting some upgrades and some improvement from the offensive line obviously will help this passing and running attack.
Brandon Bourbon just did get the first down yardage on the last carry, so now Heaps from the pistol again on 1st and 10. Throwing under pressure this time, and it bounces.
Intended for number 81.
There was pressure from Marcus Jenkins-Moore. This is a player, once again, Danon, who is working on the white team, has not really had a chance to practice much. And in fact, Charlie Weiss said he'll get more snaps in the spring game than he has in spring practice so far, because he's still working his way back from that serious knee injury from the last fall.
And it takes time, and it's good to see that he still has the instincts out there from that buck position at 6'3", 230 pounds. Good pressure on the quarterback, but it's a work in progress. He'll have the entire summer to do that.
5-yard penalty.
False start this time called on Damon Martin, the right tackle.
We've had 2 false starts so far in this game for the blue team, both by their very strong part of their offensive line, and Damon Martin, the stronger guy, one of the stronger players on this team, and Nalu at that left guard. 2 steps forward, 1 step back for this blue offense.
And Damon Martin really came into his own at the end of last season, started the last 4 games of the year, but now moving to the tackle position. Heaps with time to throw, but he gets tripped up from behind, and down he goes. TJ Semke with the sack.
Nice job by the junior. And comes up, and this is a whole lot of time. Great protection by the blue team, and you can see Nalu just gives up just a bit, maybe expecting Heaps to press himself up into the pocket and scramble a little bit, but good pursuit by Semke.
So that brings up 3rd and 21. Jake Heaps not going to get anywhere close.
It's interesting when you talk about some of the improvements that they've tried to make this spring. It's about putting points on the board, getting away from that pro-style mentality of scoring 17, 18 points a game and playing good defense. It's about now, especially in the Big 12, you got to put up 28, 30 points on offense. And so looking at these recent practices, Nate, they've thrown the ball down the field, but they haven't really tried to throw the ball downfield today so far in this game.
So under a minute left in the first half here, and it looks like we're going to go to the locker room with a white team in the lead. And they're going to have the ball in scoring position once again as Parmalee fields the punt at the 40-yard line. So chance here for the white team maybe to even try to tack some points onto this.
You know what? And there's a positive spin that you can make about this spring game so far, Nate. And talking with Charlie Weiss throughout the week and hearing some of his comments, he said this is a more talented team than he's had over the past 2 seasons. So overall, you'd like to see in a perfect world your offense blow out your number ones, blow out your number 2s, 3s, and 4s. But if you have a well-balanced team, more talented and fast team overall, it helps you. And there's not going to be that 1 or 2 standouts, and that's what we're seeing here in this game.
Now TJ Millward will take the helm again for the white team, and he overthrows Terzilli on first down. Maybe the bigger surprise for me, Danon, though, has been that the white team has had success moving the ball, especially with Michael Cummings at quarterback, against this first-string defense, because this is a defense that has basically everybody back with the addition of a couple of transfers as well.
Exactly. They only lost 2 players from the 2013 starting defense.
Number 72, 5-yard penalty, second down.
Another false start by number 72, Zach Fondal, the left tackle. He's a senior as well. So guys are getting a little anxious down there in the trenches. But going back to your point, this defense, they expected this to be the highlight of this team, and returning so many starters and playmaking.
Taylor Cox actually make that.
Number 34,
That's Aaron Plump who gets the handoff this time for the white team.
Yeah, 5'10", 219-pound running back. Kind of a 1-2 punch with he and Taylor Cox for this white team. Nice job of improvising there and going against the grain and making a big play, making something out of nothing.
Plump out of Topeka, Kansas, transfer from Butler Community College. He takes the handoff again and pushing the pile forward. He's going to be shy of the first down by a yard or 2.
It's a good push up front. Watch number 77, Joe Gibson, in the center. He's a walk-on guy, a 6'3", 295-pound guy that has opened up some eyes even upon coming on to this program last year as a true freshman out of Kansas City, out of Rockhurst High School. And he's really shown a lot to me even so far in this game. You watch at the point of attack, he's always moving forward. He seems to be on top of the defender when the whistle blows as well. So those pancake blocks, you gotta love those if you're Charlie Weiss and looking at this run game.
Timeout called for by the blue team. They're gonna try to get the ball back here with 25 seconds left in the half to see if they can put up some points. We've only seen 1 drive from Montel Cozart so far, and he inherited the ball at his own 16-yard line. Got it across half, midfield, but that's where the drive stalled out when he overthrew an open receiver on 3rd and long. But overall, that's the only time we've really had a glimpse of him. What have you thought of Cozart so far?
Well, you know what? So far, you haven't seen a whole bunch from either of the potential starting quarterbacks, but I'd say Montel is leaning a little bit hotter to me than Heaps. And the reason why I say that is because the opportunity where Heaps had a chance to tuck the ball and run, make something out of nothing, he got sacked, stood in the pocket a little long and couldn't make a play with his legs. Montel had that same opportunity and was able to burst through for a big gain and was able to get positive yards. He had a 10-yard gain on his 1 carry so far in this game and got that first down as well. So the improv from quarterbacks, especially in this offense, still trying to grow into their roles is important to me, and so far I've seen that from Montel.
So the white team decides to go for it on 4th down, and Taylor Cox, actually make that plump again, is able to reach forward for the first down. So the blue team had called for the timeout thinking they were going to get the ball back, but not so fast.
Now the white team is going to allow the clock to run down. Maybe get one last play, a Hail Mary to the end zone.
There's a very strong wind at the back of the white team right now.
Smart play.
Call a timeout here with 3 seconds left in the half. The blue team thinks that they're going to the locker room.
Prior to the clock expiring, timeout, white team, their final timeout of the half. Please reset the game clock to 3 seconds.
So will we see we won't see a 67-yard field goal attempt, I can't imagine here, even with the, like I said, a very strong wind out of the south here today, but a strong enough wind to maybe take a shot at the end zone, right?
Exactly. And John Reagan over there handling things, or I should say Ron Powell is handling things for the white team. This is a very smart move. This is a game-like situation, and you don't normally see that in the spring game where you have your teammates get together and try to set themselves up for a Hail Mary at half. But this just shows how competitive this environment is, and give a lot of credit to Charlie Weiss and how he's created that this entire spring. But looks like it's going to be a Hail Mary opportunity to see if the ones on D can get some pressure.
Terzilli might be the guy to keep an eye on at the very top of your screen. 6'3". He's already got a touchdown pass today. He'd be the biggest target. They're going to throw it down the field to him. And it's a little too far and incomplete. So that will do it for the first half. But the white team goes to the locker room with the lead. That certainly wasn't in the script for the KU coaches.
Little bit of a twist.
Spring game brought to you by Cadillac has reached the halfway point. We'll talk to Charlie Weiss when we come back. Today's spring game is presented by Cadillac, proud partner of Kansas football. TJ Millward, one of the two quarterbacks on the white team, starting to get warmed up. On the other side, Montel Cozart, we only were able to see him for one drive. And Todd Heaps, make that Jake Heaps. Todd Heaps, a former NFL tight end, not playing in the spring game today. Jake Heaps, the Jayhawk quarterback, had a couple of drives in the first half that didn't do much. We'll see if it goes any better for the blue team here in the second half, Danon Hughes.
Well, you know what you have to do is, just like we talked about, you're getting better throughout the season. You're getting better or looking to get better in the offseason, and you're looking to get better within game. So now there's a whole different circumstance. If you're a coach, you want to be able to evaluate how guys come out of halftime. If they're able to capitalize on some of the coaching that they've gotten in during halftime, and if they can play better than they did in the first half.
You also saw number 8, Nick Harwell, in the screen there, and this is a wide receiver transfer from Miami of Ohio. The Jayhawk coaches are hoping and expecting will make a big difference this year, as they have not gotten much production from their wide receiver core over the last couple of years at all, but only one catch for -5 yards in the first half. He was open on a big third down opportunity, but was overthrown on the play. Wonder if they can get him started in the second half.
And I would assume that they would make an extra effort to get him the ball and try to get him involved in this offense a little more. You talk about his stats. The senior came from Miami of Ohio, had over 3,000 yards receiving throughout his career there. They're hoping that they can get some of that similar production from him in 2014.
Brandon Bourbon takes the first handoff of the second half, and he runs to his right and picks up 6.5 yards.
Well, I think what you'll see from the blue team in this second half, especially here early, is a little bit more attention to detail, a little stronger play. They don't want to be embarrassed on their home turf as the first stringers against the number 2s, even though they're all the same team.
Bourbon picks up the first down, getting just across the 35-yard line. So second drive of the spring game for Montel Cozart. We'll see if he can march the blue team down the field this time. Bourbon taking the handoff straight ahead again. The running back position was anchored last year by James Sims. He's going to try to make an NFL roster this year if at all possible. But he was a steady rock for that running back core last year. But they've got a lot of potential answers there between Bourbon and Darian Miller and Taylor Cox. They've got a lot of bodies to throw who have experience at that position.
Well, it's very smart when you're trying to make up a team, whether it's high school, pro, college. You want to have multiple options, especially at the running back position. So to have that opportunity to have 4 guys that can go in and contribute, and we've seen all 4 so far in this game do a nice job. Each of them complement each other well. But early in this drive, you see this is a nice throw, just a quick drop back flat route by Cozart, throws a strike for the completion. Mundine, a big tight end, big playmaker that they're hoping can add a little bit of extra to this offense, coming off a season with 229 yards, led the team with 5 touchdown receptions. Honorable mention, all Big 12. They need some plays from him, and there's Cozart again. Darian Miller steps in, and he's another guy. He's a big play guy. When you speak to people around this KU program, they know that he's a guy that can take a pass. He catches the ball extremely well and obviously runs the ball well from Blue Springs, Missouri. Can be that big play threat for this offense also.
Showed some nifty footwork there to get the first down. So now Cozart firing a seam route down to Ja'Mai Mundine, and he makes the catch, the biggest play for the blue team on offense so far today.
And the biggest part of this play right here, Nate, is the fact that Mundine was able to hold on to the ball. Achilles heel for this KU offense in 2013 was the multitude of drops that the wide receivers and tight ends had. Nice job knowing you're going to get hit. Still got to catch the ball. Mundine does an outstanding job there for the first down.
And Tevin Shaw was there to deliver the hit right on reception for Mundine, but Ja'Mai held on to the ball. Now Miller goes forward for about 5 yards.
Good tough yardage up the middle. Keon Houghton, the junior center. Mike Smithberg at that right guard doing a nice job with the push up front. Nalu at that left guard as well, a senior. Honorable mention all Big 12 in 2013.
This drive started at the 25-yard line to start the second half. Cozart gives to Miller. And Miller's got a first down before he lost the football. Looks like the blue team fell on top of it. Ja'Mai Mundine recovered the loose ball.
This is a nice job up front. Good job, good movement. I like how Darian Miller plants that left foot and goes north-south. Once he finds just a little bit of a crease in traffic, has to do a better job of protecting the ball. Good job by his teammates on the blue side, corralling around that fumble.
So 1st and 10 for the blue team. Now it's Brandon Bourbon's turn. And he gets taken down after a short gain. That time Tyler Holmes on the tackle.
It's a nice job by Tyler coming from that tackle position to make that play. Just had 1 tackle for loss in 2013, but only a sophomore.
280-pounder out of Garland, Texas. Appeared in 3 games last year as a freshman. So 2nd down and 9 for the blue team. Just outside the red zone. Cozart in trouble and he throws it away.
Good smart play there by Cozart. Good pressure. We've seen a couple of big plays by number 53, Colton Goes.
The quarterback was out of the pocket and the ball crossed the line of scrimmage. 3rd down.
The pressure you see comes from just under the left side of the screen right there. And Cozart recognizes the pressure, gets the ball out of bounds, past the line of scrimmage, creates a 3rd and 9 situation.
Goes from Hawaii. That's an area that Charlie Weiss has really made it a priority to recruit. Of course, Manti Te'o was the guy that he got to Notre Dame, so he's had success getting talent from that area. Now a strike is delivered from Cozart, and there's Nick Harwell with his first reception for positive yardage, and he gets the first down inside the 10-yard line.
And this is the identical play that they tried to run early in this game where they could not connect. That's a nice job by Cozart here. Throws a strike down the sideline, has that little short release. quick release, but Harwell doing a nice job knowing exactly where he is on the field for the first down.
Brandon Bourbon fights his way inside the 5-yard line. So the blue team, after not doing much offensively in the first half, they took the ball over at the 25-yard line to start this second half, and now they are on the doorstep of tying this ball game up.
I think the focus is a little bit more tighter now than it was coming into this game. As the spring game, maybe you're kind of easing into it. Have a little bit of egg on your face after halftime and being down to your 2s, 3s, and 4s. One stepping up.
Touchdown. Montel Cozart into the end zone for a touchdown, and the blue team makes it a 7-6 ball game pending the extra point. A 15-play, 75-yard drive for the blue team, led by Montel Cozart.
Outstanding job. The right side of the offensive line, Damon Martin gets a seal block downhill. Mike Smithberg, that right guard, outstanding job at the point of contact. Sees a pull out. Good push inside. Nice block by Brandon Bourbon on Goes. Allows Cozart to score it in for the score.
But Wyman's extra point hooks wide, and the white team maintains a 1-point lead. Let's check in with our third member of our broadcast crew, Mick Schaefer, on the sidelines. Mick?
Guys, thanks very much. Chris Harris, cornerback for the Denver Broncos, re-signing with the Broncos. Congratulations on that. Why'd you want to come back to the Broncos?
Well, I really had no choice being a restricted free agent, but I just thought it would be good to just go ahead and sign one more year and come back healthy and be able to look for a long term next year.
You mentioned your health. Unfortunately, during that playoff run, you had the torn ACL. You missed the Super Bowl. How frustrating was that, and where are you at in your recovery process?
It was definitely frustrating, putting all that hard work that I put in and be able to miss the 2 biggest games, the AFC Championship and the Super Bowl. Those things, it definitely hurt, but it gave me a lot of motivation to come back better this season and a lot more improved, and my knee's feeling great, and I just got to continue to stay on track on the schedule and continue to progress.
Your friend Aqib Talib is over there on the other side for Denver. What's that going to be like? How cool is that going to be?
It's going to be scary, definitely. I mean, you've seen how we worked here and then the accomplishments that we had here. And I was a young pup then, so now that I'm kind of going in my 4th year, I know the NFL and him being a veteran already, so it's going to be a dynamic duo.
You ever imagine that scenario?
I used to always joke about it, like, man, are they going to really, like, what if they actually get me and Aqib together again and it actually happens? So it's kind of crazy.
You guys get together and swap old war stories about that 2007 season?
Oh, yeah. I mean, as soon as he signed, I was up there, so I was able to show him around the locker room, show him around the coaches, and I'll be able to help them adapt a lot easier. So I think it's going to be a great transition.
People forget, because you're an established veteran, you took on right away with the Broncos, but you're an undrafted free agent coming out of college. What advice do you, the draft's coming up, what advice do you have for KU guys hoping to hear their name announced, and maybe it's not?
Oh, yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, I figure more than likely a lot of these guys will have an undrafted opportunity. And you have to take advantage of that opportunity. I was given a slim chance. I was the last person picked up on the team when I went undrafted. So anybody can make the team. You just have to go in there and do the work.
Did you like spring games back in the day?
Yeah, I always loved the spring games. Anytime you can battle against your teammates, kind of like inside bragging rights.
Is there more trash talk here in spring games than actual games?
Yeah, I would say yeah, because, I mean, you're going against your buddies, your teammates. Right, exactly. So, I mean, going against John Wilson and Marcus Henry, I used to always, Briscoe, we always talk trash during the spring game.
Right. Chris Harris, thanks so much. Get back healthy, all right? We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, thanks a lot, Mick. And Chris Harris is one of those great stories. He was under-recruited, a 2-star kid coming out of high school, undrafted into the NFL, and played as many snaps as anybody on that Broncos defense until he suffered that torn ACL in the playoffs.
Outstanding job, and you talk about blue-collar guys, and I always love those type of players. Kind of consider myself that type of player. 6 years with the Kansas City Chiefs, but it's always refreshing, and I'm sure the people here around Lawrence really love the fact of the story that Chris Harris has and what he's been able to accomplish so far.
Tell you what, Andrew Terzilli had a chance at his second touchdown reception, but he couldn't hold on to. But let's look back at how the white team got into this position in the first place.
Well, what they've been able to do is establish the run game. Taylor Cox has done an outstanding job. You see the big run there. Terzilli getting some quality blocks. He gets down the sideline. But these drives have been maneuvered by T.J. Millward. Really done a nice job at that quarterback position, getting him into this position to score.
Matt Wyman missed the extra point for the blue team earlier. This time the field goal is up and through there. So the white team now leading the blue team by a score of 10-6. Let's go back to Mick Schaefer.
All right, guys, thanks very much. Ron Warner back. How often do you make it back to these games?
This will be my 5th year in a row. I've been here coming since I left. So, you know, Mangino was here first, but I'm getting an opportunity to talk to Coach Weiss.
We've seen a lot of these 2007 guys that are back. A lot of 90s guys. Do they still come back?
Yeah, we're all here. We're all here.
Everybody's here.
The 90s guys are here. Yeah. We're excited. We're happy with how everything has changed around for all the young youth and everything, and we just wanted to, you know, come out and support it.
Give us an update on your life right now. It was what, 97 when you lived KU?
Yeah, it was 97. I've been retired now since 2008. I retired with the Washington Redskins, and now I'm just coaching youth football leagues.
Nice. Do you like that?
Wouldn't change for anything in the world.
What do you think about? Do you keep up with these Jayhawks?
Yeah. I came out here to watch the young quarterback Kozart #2 and check out the D-line and see how they're doing. And so far, I like what I see.
What do you make of this game? The blue team's more experienced. They're supposed to be winning, but they're not right now.
Yeah, I'm kind of cheering for the white team. I like the colors. I like the colors.
Very nice. And so we talked with Mike Rivera, former linebacker. What's it like seeing these quarterbacks with not a red jersey on? Would that ever happen in your day?
No, it didn't. No, it didn't. They always put the red jersey on our quarterbacks, but, you know, they got to get hit. You know what I'm saying? Simulation of it, you know, but they're not going to do them too bad.
Fair to say Charlie Weiss is Ron Warner's type of coach. All right, we appreciate the time. Thanks so much, former Redskin, former Buccaneer, and Saint. Did I get them all right?
Got them all right. Got them all right.
And the all-time sack leader still in a single season. Was it 14.5?
Yeah, I hope it gets broke this season, because if we do, we're going to a bowl
game. So you're hoping for your record to be broken?
I need somebody to break it. It's been up there too long.
I think Jayhawk fans will like that if I'm in a bowl game. All right, Ron, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Send it back to you guys.
Ron Warner was a guy in the Terry Allen era who, in 1997, delivered a hit on Corby Jones at the University of Missouri here at Memorial Stadium that forced a fumble and knocked him out of the game, and basically was the game-winning hit. Knocked Corby Jones unconscious, and the Jayhawks won that game. I mean, those games between Kansas and Missouri fans, they don't forget. You know, the guys that had the big games, and no matter what the team's records were in those games.
There's been some great documentaries that have run about that rivalry on the basketball court and football field and all sports. Time Warner Sports, Time Warner Cable Sports Network has really done an outstanding job documenting that as well. It's just been fun to watch, and I'm a guy that hasn't grown up around here, but it's been fun to be a part of.
Jake Heaps just experienced what it's like to play in the spring game without a red jersey on.
Game situation, and you can see right here the protection breaks down just a bit. He gets pulled down, and fortunately that could have been very serious. Anytime you get a defensive lineman around one leg, it can be a huge cause of concern, but nice job that he's able to bounce back up.
Tell you what, that was Kellen Ash again. We have seen him make some big plays for this white team, the freshman out of Parkway South High School in Missouri.
Nice job, and you see the switch offensively. We talked about the switch by a couple of players for the second half. Number 61, Pat Lewandowski, was the starting left tackle early in this game, and Zach Fondal has moved over and been that left tackle for the second half.
Rodriguez Coleman receives a first down pass from Heaps, and now we're at the end of the third quarter. Fourth quarter when we come back. Today's Kansas Spring Game is presented by Cadillac, proud partner of Kansas football. So Montel Kozart led the blue team on a touchdown drive. The extra point was no good in the third quarter. Now Jake Heaps is trying to lead a drive for the blue team. Nate Bucati along with Dane and Hughes here at the Kansas Spring Game presented by Cadillac. White team leading it by a score of 10-6. But Jake Heaps just with a big conversion on that pass to Rodriguez-Coleman to end the third quarter to keep this drive alive for the blue team.
Well, great patience displayed by Heaps in the pocket. Got some protection there. Stood tall in the pocket and threw the deep in route to Rodriguez for the first down. Now, you know, like you said, Nate, they're pressing on an opportunity to score here. They have to capitalize here as well, and Heaps has done a nice job in this drive so far.
So Heaps, the only man in the backfield this time. In this new spread offense, he finds Harwell across the middle. Anthony Fish Smithson, one of the newcomers for the white team, the sophomore transfer from Hartnell College, makes the tackle.
Nice job of pursuit by the free safety, Fish. They said most of the players probably don't even know his first name is Anthony. They just all call him Fish. He does a nice job there. Harwell has to get upfield, can't go backwards to try to go forward there. The game is too fast.
Some patient running by Darian Miller that time, and he gets close to the first down.
Nice job by Miller again. You see he gets stopped, restarted, keeps those legs churning, gets downhill. Left side, Nalu doing a nice job just coming. Good seal block right there, right number 65, Mike Smithberg. Third and short.
Marcus Jenkins Moore is the player down for the white team. Now remember, he's coming back from a pretty devastating knee injury that he suffered. He arrived on campus last fall, and he suffered this serious knee injury with the left knee, and it's a little scary right now as he's getting helped off. And it looks to be that left knee again that's bothering him. You can still see the brace on that knee. This wasn't just a simple torn ACL, which I remember the days when even an ACL wasn't considered a simple injury, but by today's standards, I guess it is. This was a little more significant than that. So he has not been a full participant in the spring, but has been playing quite a bit here today. Hopefully this is nothing serious for Jenkins Moore, because this is a kid, when you watched his junior college film, he was the kind of guy that was lighting people up from sideline to sideline. They would love to have him healthy this coming fall.
Absolutely. You talk to people around this program as Miller squirts in. The big playability of number 6, Darian Miller, comes through for the blue team with the big score. Nice job.
20-yard run for a touchdown for Darian Miller.
Good movement up front. You can see the legs churning of the offensive line. Smithberg right there in the middle at that right guard position. Watch his movement, and then to the second level, Damon Martin gets there, and then it's all Darian Miller. Breaks one tackle, yardage, and touchdown after contact.
Fish Smithson was the only person with a shot on Miller, and he couldn't bring him down. It's impressive about Darian Miller. You mentioned him as a big play kind of guy. He's got moves, he's got some quickness, but for only 195 pounds, he really keeps those legs churning even when he gets hit.
Absolutely, and I got a glimpse of this for a few years when he was in Blue Springs, Missouri. Did a nice job on the high school level and carrying that same type of mantra into college right there. Good patience, doesn't hit the hole too quickly, and then has the explosiveness to squirt through there for the score.
It's been a bit of a rocky road for Darian Miller since coming to Kansas. Played very well as a freshman, but then with the coaching change, basically was dismissed from the team and went to junior college and earned his way back on. And Charlie Weiss said, look, he did everything we wanted to. He came back. Then last year was absent for the final half of the season, but has come back here. If he can keep everything in order, so to speak, no reason he can't be a big-time factor for this team next fall.
Right, if you talk about going into 2014 with a 1-2 punch of Brandon Bourbon and Darian Miller, I think you are lights out better than you were in 2013 as far as having that 1-2 punch, having the big playability, even though you had lost a big-time playmaker in James Sims. To have these two guys be a part of your offense consistently, I think you definitely have an upgrade.
Good to see Keon Stowers back out there at the nose tackle position after suffering what appeared to be a cramp in his calf muscle. And let's also, when we talk about running backs, not forget about Taylor Cox, who has been playing on the white team today, but 59 yards on 11 carries. And now here's Millward with a quarterback keeper getting all the way inside the 30-yard line of the blue team.
Nice job right there. He squirts through, and actually it seems like he's a little surprised that he's actually got that much real estate out there. Good job of blocking up front. Brian Peters, the left guard, doing a nice job right there. Number 16, Jordan Darling in at quarterback, 6'4", 230-pound freshman.
At Shawnee Mission East High School, yeah, I thought it was Millward at first, but it's number 16, not number 10. And Darling coming in, another recruit from the Kansas City metropolitan area. Tim Grunhard, who stepped down as the offensive line coach after this past season, but a guy that really recruited the Kansas City area well. He knew so well because of his time coaching at the high school ranks at Bishop Miege.
Absolutely, and there's even a couple of players that played for him, and he's, like you said, very fond of the players around the Kansas City area. And Grunhard is a guy that I played with for 6 years in Kansas City with the Chiefs, and a dear friend of mine, but a great football mind.
And this time the toss goes out to Aaron Plump, who gets bounced out of bounds.
I like that Taylor Cox too, the guy. You know, when we talked about Darian Miller and Brandon Bourbon, but Taylor Cox and Aaron Plump really have done a nice job in this game so far, making plays. And you know what? The X's and O's are not going to be perfect. The defense, as we used to say in the NFL, the defense gets paid too. So they have to be able to counter what you are trying to do offensively. But these running backs for both the blue team and the white team really do know how to make something out of nothing and get positive yardage more times than not.
This time nowhere for Darling to go as Victor Simmons takes him to the ground. And that'll bring up 4th down, 4th and 8. White team will go for it. Darling to throw this time, and he throws it behind Trey Parmalee, the intended receiver. So the blue team will take over on downs. Let's take a look at the schedule for the Jayhawks coming up in 2014. They open up with Southeast Missouri State at home. Central Michigan at home as well. This is the home schedule for the Jayhawks. They have a road game in non-con at Duke, which will be a tough one. That was a team that was in the ACC championship game last year.
Yes. You know what? There's so much quality football that's played in the Big 12 Conference. You look at those teams. You have Texas coming in here. Oklahoma State is always a strong team. Iowa State is, I even go back to my college days, just a frustrating team. They always seem to just be a frustrating team. And then TCU. So some quality games coming here to Lawrence. Good football on the horizon.
Tony Pearson taking the handoff. Remember, he's wearing the red jersey, so it's touch football for him in this game, and he's touched in the backfield. TJ Semke will get credit for the tackle for loss there when all he had to do was get a couple of hands on Pearson.
Well, Pearson coming off a season, 24 catches, 333 yards, had 1 touchdown, but it had a 77-yard catch. So he's a guy that has some big playmaking ability. They need guys that can get yardage in chunks, whether it's from the backfield with Miller and Bourbon or in the passing game.
Cozart looking for somewhere to go with it, and he throws it away. Well, both Montel Cozart and Jay Keeps have orchestrated touchdown drives here in the second half.
And we've seen some big plays by each, guys maneuvering the offenses very well. You see Cozart trying to scan the field, looking for plays, recognizes the clock is going down in the backfield, doesn't want to take a hit, lives for a 3rd down there, 3rd and extra long at 15 yards to go for a 1st down.
See, Cozart can convert here on 3rd and long. This time he finds Harwell open. We talked about the fact that he had that throw once in the first half but couldn't complete it. This time he delivers a strike and Harwell gets the 1st down.
And this is just a slot at the top of your screen, or the left side of your screen right there, where you run a scissor route, and Tony Pearson's on the outside, Harwell's on the inside in the slot. They basically cross about 10 yards downfield. Safety is in a predicament because he has to choose which one to guard. Cozart and Harwell connect again.
This time Cozart keeping it, and he's got it inside the 40-yard line, down inside the 20, to the 10, diving across the pylon, and they say he stepped out of bounds at the 3-yard line. Well, what a carry from Montel Cozart.
This is what you get with athleticism and speed. Watch how Montel sets up that block right there on Martin and then bursts to the outside down the sideline. Nice long strides. Not a running quarterback, but a quarterback that can make plays with his legs. Is exactly the type of player he is. You can see right here, kind of right there, steps out of bounds. Nice job by the officiating crew. Recognize that at the 3-yard line.
So Montel Cozart. And now we've got a timeout called by the blue team, but Montel Cozart with 5 carries for 67 yards and a touchdown so far to go along with 6 of 10 passing for 58 yards.
That's the offense, and that's the production that you want to see in this game. He has the 1 touchdown, obviously the 60-yard gain that he got there, but he's doing a nice job passing-wise, running-wise, handling the team offensively. That hasn't had as many penalties, a couple of offsides penalties or false starts, I should say, by the offensive line, but overall, you have to be happy with the production when Cozart is at the helm.
And that's John Reagan that you saw talking to Montel Cozart, the new offensive coordinator and an offensive line coach for this Kansas team after spending the last couple of years at Rice, a team that beat Kansas each of the last 2 years, and they have had that dual threat spread quarterback that could run and throw, and you have to wonder if that's what John Reagan likes in terms of Montel Cozart and what he brings to the table.
And I think so. I think if you're a football mind, you can recognize talent, and more times than not, Nate, when you have a guy that is that talented, you want to try to keep the ball in his hands as often as possible, and that's exactly what they're doing with the option, spread read, and these type of plays here where Montel is going to have to tuck it and run it a little bit more than he may be accustomed to. Going to be a little bit bumped and bruised on Sunday and Monday each week. But if he can make some plays like he did previously, they'll live with it.
And yeah, he's not wearing the red shirt today, but he's got all summer to recover from the spring game, right?
He can wear the red shirt all summer.
Right. We tried to take it in on 1st and goal, so now it'll be 2nd and goal, still from this time from the 2-yard line. Brandon Bourbon to his right in the backfield. Cozart now keeping it to his right. Finds an angle into the end zone. Touchdown for the blue team. The 2nd rushing touchdown for Montel Cozart on the afternoon.
Nice job here by Cozart, the right side of the offensive line. Good and an excellent block there by Mike Smithberg. He's a pulling right guard. Comes out, recognizes, doesn't allow a white helmet to cross his face. Gets the seal block. Good patience again there by Cozart. Squirts in for the score.
Wyman has missed 1 extra point today. Kicking with the wind at his back this time. And this one is straight through there. So after struggling in the first half, the blue team has now outscored the white team 20-3 in the second half. And we've seen a couple of rushing touchdowns for Montel Cozart. The totals for Cozart now: 7 carries for 70 yards and 2 touchdowns, 6 completions on 10 attempts, throwing the football for 58 yards.
So far, so good. I think if you come out of this game, if you're Charlie Weiss, if you're John Reagan, and you say, hey, your quarterback is going to account for both scores or 2 of the 3 scores on the blue team, is going to have that type of production, both running and passing, I think you'd be satisfied with that coming out of your spring practices.
Once again, with the rules of the spring game, Charlie Weiss has decided that the white team will start with the ball at the 50-yard line after scores, and this time it'll be Michael Cummings, who did orchestrate a couple of good drives already for this white team today. Cummings will keep it. A late pitch to Taylor Cox that could have been trouble, but Cox is able to hold on to and get back to the line of scrimmage.
That's a nice job, and that could have been an intercepted pitch right there. Good block at the top of the screen by Matt Henches, the wide receiver, 6'2", 190 pounds. That's a tough job as a wide receiver, a former wide receiver. You have to hold that block extremely long on the outside when you're running the option against press man-to-man coverage. The defense knows exactly where the ball is, and you have no clue. It can be tough.
This time the option to the right. Taylor Cox was able to survive the initial hit from Ben Heaney and get across the line of scrimmage and pick up about 3 yards.
Good job by Taylor Cox here. Just the same play, go the opposite direction. The option right there. Heaney gets around his ankles. He keeps those legs churning. Gets downhill for a short gain.
So Taylor Cox now 14 carries for 66 yards for the white team. And remember, that's running behind the second string offensive line against the first team defense.
Absolutely. And we talked a lot about this offense and offensive linemen and what they've been able to do. Nice job. Oh, it looked like he got his hands under the ball, but it squirted through at the last second. Fourth down here, just a deep slant by Henches. Yeah, gets his hands underneath, but doesn't keep those elbows in together. As a wide receiver, you can't go in with your arms open. Has to keep your elbows in to try to have a chance at that type of catch.
So
but defensively, I'm sorry, Nate, defensively, you know, one of the stories of this spring has been Ja'Cory Shepherd going into the nickel position.
Terzilli is able to bring it in and get 1 foot down.
The pass is complete.
The 21-yard line for the first down.
Outstanding job. This is an NFL type of catch here, and what I mean by that is creating separation and catching the ball away from the defense. In college, you only have to have the 1 foot in bounds. Nice job, good throw and catch here on the fade route. Gets pushed a little bit far outside, but still able to connect for the big game.
And that was working against Dexter McDonald, honorable mention All Big 12 player from a year ago. Boy, this time Ben Heaney comes knifing into the backfield to take down Taylor Cox.
The heat-seeking missile. Charlie White spoke about this young man and what they're trying to accomplish with the linebacking core. Jake Love, Skylar Miles, and Ben Heaney. There's 3 men vying for 2 positions. Well, you know number 31 is going to be one of them. But they hope to not have to lean on him to be on the field for the entire game and give him a couple opportunities to get a little bit of a break here and there in different packages.
Well, that time Michael Cummings had a man open. It was Trey Parmalee, but he overthrew his intended receiver.
Now we're starting to see the offense air it out just a little bit, and I thought that was going to be the game plan coming in by both sides, is to throw the ball downfield. You recognize some of the high-octane offenses that these teams go against in the Big 12 have to score points. The best way to score points is to score them quickly if you can, and more times than not, no matter what type of running game you have, throwing the ball downfield is a key to that.
Cummings looking to deliver it down the left side again. Intended for Parmalee again, but incomplete once again. And that time the pass was broken up by Kevin Short. You mentioned earlier that the Jayhawks have been able to move Ja'Cory Shepherd into the nickel position. That is because Kevin Short, who had to sit out last year after transferring from Fort Scott Community College, has stepped into that nickel position.
And done a nice job. He's going to play that right corner position, number 7, Kevin Short. 6'2", 190 pounds, so a little bit longer. He's a junior, but you're right, Nate. Bringing Ja'Cory Shepherd into that nickel position is key for this defense.
Trying to go one-on-one to Terzilli again. Terzilli looking for a flag on McDonald this time. He won't get it.
That's one of the great things about the spring game is if you're a defensive back, you can mug the receiver, and most times, and more times than not, you're not going to get called. As a wide receiver, I feel for you, Andrew. I feel for you, but I'm not going to get that call in the spring.
Well, to be fair, Terzilli was trying to push off a little bit with his left hand as well, too, wasn't he?
Nate, I don't see that part. I'm a former wide receiver. I don't see any penalties by wide receivers, only defensive backs.
Under 1 minute to go in the spring game.
That's the toughest part of me being an analyst right now. I tend to have tunnel vision on those wide receiver positions.
Acknowledging maybe a little bit of a bias there. Here's a reverse to Tony Pearson and a nice lead block from Jay Keeps. Pearson trying to make a big play here. He knows as soon as he gets touched, he's down, so he's going to dance all over the place. And gets up to the 50-yard line.
He's getting his conditioning in. He recognized, hey, this is two-hand touch for me, so I can do some things that I wouldn't even try to do in a regular game. But right here, good blocking. And then it's all about his athleticism and the speed. Guys didn't quit on him. See Bourbon downfield trying to make a block. He squirted out of bounds, but a big play for the blue team.
So maybe enough time for the blue team to tack on one more score with 43 seconds left in this spring game presented by Cadillac. Handoff, though, this time goes nowhere to Preston Randall. But it was a disappointing showing from the blue team in the first half. They answered that in the second half, though, didn't they, Dana?
And exactly what you want. You spoke with Charlie Weiss during halftime, and he nixed the idea of switching the score, but you can tell that his mindset was still about improving. And you don't come into these type of practices and these type of games looking just about wins. It's about improving.
Trying to get it deep down the sideline to Rodriguez Coleman that time.
Jake Heaps back in at quarterback, and this is a nice throw right here. This is a ball you throw down in the box where only your receiver can get it. And you see Rodriguez tries to get in front of the defensive back. And you're a big NASCAR guy, I believe, are you? A little bit?
Not necessarily. I know they're supposed to turn left a lot.
Well, the thing is what we were taught, and Al Saunders was a wide receiver coach for the Kansas City Chiefs when I was there. It's about drafting. When you're a wide receiver and you're running downfield, defensive back, if you can get in front of them, kind of like the cars do in the races where they're drafting, that's where you're going to have more wins than not.
There's a back shoulder throw to Justin McKay, and he makes the reception. And that'll be the last play of the spring game as the Bishop Miege product makes a nice catch.
Well, right here, this is about nonverbal communication. You recognize that normally there's times where you're even with the defensive back, you're leaving, but right there, those two guys connected because they're on the same page.
So that'll do it for the spring game here from Lawrence, Kansas. The blue team wins it 20-10. Final thoughts in just a moment.